What's up, y'all? This is Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesdays, here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. And I know some of you guys are looking at this video and you're like, yo, what the heck are you doing up so early or up so late? Because it is dark as crap out. Listen, so it is about 5 o'clock in the morning currently. The reason I am up is because I am at urgent care, unfortunately. I've been experiencing COVID-like symptoms. So I'm here early for a walk-in because, as you guys know, a lot of the testing sites all throughout the nation, no matter what state or city you're in, they're booked up for quite a few days. And, you know, I'm able to do a walk-in. They just said it caps off at a certain point. So I was like, all right, well, let me get here dumb early. I mean, granted, they don't open up till 8 o'clock in the morning, but I don't care. I'm going to be ready. You know what I'm saying? So just, you know, continue to pray my strength from God. A couple nights ago, I had a sore throat. I didn't pay any mind because I figured my little brother had a sore throat at home. So I figured maybe I got it from him. But then last night I was getting like chills all over my body. My head was hurting. I woke up this morning, the chills are no longer there, but my head was pounding. It's a little better now because I took some medicine. But I am extremely fatigued. Like, you know, my breathing is fine. I thank God for that. But it was a struggle just for me to get my clothes on and get out the door. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, hopefully it's not COVID. Maybe it's the flu. Maybe it's something else. Maybe my body just is like, yo, you need to chill out. I don't know. But, yeah, I guess we're going to find out in a couple of hours. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. We'll talk more about that later on. I'll give you some updates and whatnot. Today, I want to give you guys a little bit of a story time. It's not really a discussion too much, but at the end, there is a certain lesson that I want you guys to be able to take away from my story. This will really help those who've ever experienced something like this, or even for those individuals who've never experienced something like this. You'll know what to do in this situation based on what I've been through. All right, cool. So, as you guys know, for those who've been following my channel for a little bit of time right now, I currently attend the University of Central Florida. I'm currently getting my specialist in educational leadership. But before that, in 2019, I had got my second master's. Well, I was beginning the process of getting my second master's from UCF. I got my first one from Bethune-Cookman University. And this one that I was getting it in was an education leadership / college teaching, right? So one of the things I was thinking about when I was applying for UCF was GA positions to help me pay for school, because I really didn't want to take out a loan. You know, I had taken out loans throughout my undergrad and, you know, for the first year of my master's at Cookman. So I wanted to do something a little different where they could pay for it, you know, if possible, you know. And that's exactly what ended up happening. I ended up getting hired for a GA position. It was a graduate research assistant position. Now, I'm not going to say the person's name out of respect, and there's a reason why for that, even though I probably should. But, you know, yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit, and you'll see my reasoning why. So it started off in the summer of 2019. You know, I was interviewed. Dr. Cox, shout out to him. He was my advisor at the time. He was giving me updates on GA positions because I was like constantly bugging him about it. And this one opened up. I was interviewed by my supervisor, and I ended up being hired by her. And she told me the details of the job and whatnot. And I was very excited because, you know, I was pretty good at research. I had done research before, but this is my first time I would do research on this level, especially when it involves urban communities. And I was really excited about that because, you know, I'm all black. So, you know, anything that involves that, you know, I'm down for the cause. You already know. So, basically, you know, started off in the fall. I was doing 20 hours a week, and it was a great position because I was getting paid. My tuition was covered, and I also had health insurance. So, I mean, that's the best of the best when it comes to a GA or, you know, research or teacher assistant. You know, that's the best you can come by. Because, you know, depending on what position that you're in, it can be divided up in different ways, which I'll get into that a little later. But basically, I was doing research for urban communities, HBCUs, I mean, you name it. I even wrote 2 articles, which, I mean, is a feat that's not really done in graduate school that much, you know, at least when you're getting your master's. Now, your doctoral degree, that's a different story. But your master's, that's almost unheard of. So, you know, I'm very excited about that. And I'll, one of these videos, because I don't have access to my computer at the moment, but I'll put a link in one of the videos so that way you guys can check the articles out. But basically, everything seemed to be going well. You know, it was challenging at times. You know, there were times that she had to, you know, work with me with certain things because there were things I didn't quite understand. But it seemed like things were going well until December came. And I guess whatever material I was putting out there wasn't to her liking, which, I mean, you know, it happens. Sometimes you do things at work and you're putting your best effort, but it's not really what your supervisor is looking for, you know, so be it. So, you know, we had a conversation because I guess I wasn't quite getting what she was trying to have me do. And, you know, she told me straight up, like, you know, hey, when you come back from the spring semester, we're going to have a talk. And I'm like, cool. You know, now I'm thinking to myself, you know, you're supposed to be, you know, patient and working with me, which she was initially. It's just, I'm the type of person where there's just certain things I just don't get right away. You gotta break down things for me a little more sometimes for me to be able to get it. But once I got it, I got it. So came back spring semester. She told me straight up, hey, I'm considering, you know, hiring another GA. You know, you're a great individual, but it just seems like the work that you're putting forth is not, you know, exactly what I'm looking for. You know, there's certain concepts you don't understand because you're in a master's program. Now, I didn't take offense to that, and I know some of you guys are probably like, what? And I'm like, no, I didn't take offense to that because, I mean, it happens. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you cut for the job, sometimes you're not. And, you know, in the words of Mr. Wells, you know, from the Martian Wildcats at Bethune-Cookman University, you know, if you're not doing your job properly, best believe that they're going to hire somebody else. It is what it is. So I was like, all right, cool. So in my mind, I said, let me cover my butt and let me go ahead and start looking for another GA position. So I started seeking out other GA positions. I didn't tell her this because I figured that there was a possibility she was going to let me go. And there really wasn't any need to, you know, go ahead and do that, right? So I was looking at other GA positions. I was actually talking to a guy. His name was Dr. Johnson. He was in charge of the freshman college. And he was looking for a GA position. And he was also looking for, I forgot. It was some position during the summer. A teacher or something like that. Associate professor. I can't remember. I forgot. This is back in 2020. You know, it's 2022 now. So, basically, I'm going ahead and, you know, talking to him and explaining what's going on. And I had told him, you know, I was definitely interested and we were supposed to link up and talk. So a couple of weeks later, my supervisor pulled me to the side and she said, you know what, I decided that I'm going to keep you on, but I'm letting you know I'm going to really work you this semester. You know, I'm going to push you a little further than what you've been pushed before. And I kind of dropped my guard. I was like, okay, well, maybe she had to change her heart. Maybe she's, you know, willing to give me another chance and whatnot. So I didn't seek another GA position because I figured I was covered. And I figured I would be covered until I graduated because that was the initial plan. She told me that during the summer. She said, I'm going to keep you until you graduate because I really want to help you out. You know, my supervisor went to a HBCU in undergrad. So she understood what it was like, you know, being an African-American in the PWI and things of that sort. So, I mean, like, it seemed like things were going great. You know, I was finally getting things under my belt. And then spring break hits. And, of course, you know, what happens? The pandemic starts. You know, Rona starts roaming the streets and it gets ugly to the point where they shut the whole nation down. So we went virtual. And by us going virtual, there was a lot of changes that were in place. And there were a lot of changes between me and my supervisor. You know, we had to learn how to Zoom conference and things like that, as opposed to meeting in person. So she had an assignment for me to do. And this was like around March, early April. And I completed it and sent it in to her. And then she sent me a message back later on in the afternoon, basically saying, hey, Marcus, this is, you know, not exactly what I was looking for. I think we need to have a conversation. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm thinking to myself, she gonna show me what she was looking for like she typically does. If I send in something and it's not to her liking, she shows me, you know, okay, this is what I'm looking for. and this is how, it's supposed to be done. I mean, she shows me that beforehand, but sometimes you mess up, right? So what ended up happening was we had a conversation. She said, I'm thinking that I'm going to let you go. And I pretty much snapped on her, professionally, of course. And I told her straight up, you can't keep going back and forth. I'm going to need you to make up your mind. Are you going to keep me, or are you going to let me go? Because this is the second time that you've told me that you're going to let me go. And I don't appreciate that. Because if you were really thinking about seriously letting me go, I could have been looking for another GA position. Now we're in a pandemic, and it's a lot harder because instead of me being able to see people in person, I have to email them in hopes that they get back to me. And she said, well, it's just, I'm sorry. I wanted to keep you. You're a great guy, but, the work is just not up to the liking and this and that. And I'm just like, okay, so tell you what, that's fine and dandy if you're going to let me go, but you're going to be responsible for helping me find another GA position. Because guess what? We are in a pandemic now, and I can't do this by myself. So she agreed. Now, did she really help me out? Not much, to be honest, if I'm keeping it real. She helped me out a little bit, but not much. So she said, I'm going to keep you until the summer, and then after the summer, you'll pretty much be responsible for having another GA position. So I was like, all right, cool, that's fine. So as long as I get help and you can give me another GA position by the time the fall gets here, I don't care. So needless to say, summer's going on. She's talking to me, and, we're getting situated for the summer, and she has summer courses. So I'm pretty much responsible for, letting people in Zoom, our Zoom classes and whatnot, and figuring things out from there. And I also, participated in class as well, offered my input from time to time, and was just still helping her out with research stuff. You know what I'm saying? So we were still doing a lot of things. And I remember we had a conversation during the summer again, and she was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to let you go, just for the simple fact that, I might have to keep you on. But, with her telling me that she had been back and forth so many times, so indecisive, right? Excuse me. That, at this point, I didn't believe her, but I played dumb like I did. And then I remember messaging her one day and said, hey, I thought you said that you were going to keep me on, because she said, how was the GA search coming along? And I played dumb, and I was like, hey, I thought you were going to keep me on. That's what you said, right? So she called me and explained why she wasn't going to keep me on. Now, this is how I know she was screwing up. She knew she was going back and forth, and she knew she was wrong about going back and forth. So she made sure she didn't leave a paper trail of our conversations. And I'm very frustrated at myself about that. Not right now, but I was, because I should have kept a paper trail of our conversations and what was going on. That would have been smart. So that way, when I would have reported her, I could have said, this is what happened, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. So needless to say, summer came and went. I passed my courses for the summer. We had a class meeting, and after that, I didn't hear from her ever again. I didn't even get an email basically stating, Marcus, I appreciate you working with me. It's been a pleasure. I wish you all the best. I didn't get nothing. She just disappeared. And I know she still works at UCF. It's very disappointing because this individual couldn't even apologize for what she did. And that's how I knew she was wrong, because she didn't even say, I appreciate you working with me. She knew she was wrong. And if there's one thing that I know, God don't like ugly, and he will get his, you know what I mean? So as angry as I was at the time being, eventually I did let it go. I was, like I said, again, I was very reluctant to tell this story for quite some time, because and I'm still not going to say the person's name, even though I could and I would have every right to do so. That's not what we do here on this channel. But as you can clearly see, I was extremely frustrated. Now, thank God I did end up getting another GA position, not due to her help, of course, in the fall. But, still, it sucked. You know what I'm saying? It really, really sucked, because it was just like, yo, what the heck? So I'm saying all that to say this, guys. There's a couple of things I want you to take away from my story. And I didn't go into too much detail about other things because, again, still trying to be respectful in spite of how I was treated. Number one, make sure you keep a paper trail all the time when it comes to work. Really, with anything, keep a paper trail, but especially when it comes to work and it comes to your supervisor or people that you work with. The last thing you want to do when it comes to your supervisor is your word versus his or her word. they'll choose them every time because they're in a leadership position, okay? So make sure you keep that in mind. So that's number one. Number two, cover your booty, okay? If your supervisor is thinking about possibly letting you go and they mention anything to that sort, start looking for something else. And I'm not saying you gotta tell them, but just have something prepared so that way if they do let you go, you good. In fact, to be real with you, I would go ahead and get something else and then put in your 2 weeks if possible. I know that's not feasible everywhere, but that really would help, because I know for me, and I remember talking to Dr. Johnson. Here's a screwed up part. I talked to Dr. Johnson in April, and he said if you would have hit me up 2 weeks earlier, I would have had a position for you in the fall. Yeah, that screwed me up. So, always cover your butt. Always. That's what my dad told me. He said, always cover your butt because other people are going to be covering theirs. So make sure you're good. Make sure you're straight. And I say my third and final thing to, take away from this is, and I had to learn this for myself, and I'm still learning it, obviously, but don't take it personal. People are doing what they got to do to make sure they have food on the table. They're doing what they got to do to survive. I know it's easier said than done when it comes to not taking things personal, but try to do your best to not take it personally, because people do some shiesty crap, and they don't even realize they're doing that crap. I don't think she realized what she did was wrong. And, well, I would say she does realize it, but she is not taking accountability, like, unfortunately, some people don't, to admit that she was wrong. So it is what it is. But I hope my story, excuse me, I hope my story helped you guys out a little bit. For anybody who's ever been through something like this, and you can relate, or for my people who haven't been through something like this, you'll know what to do if this ever happens. I know some of you guys are probably wondering, did I end up reporting her? The answer is no. I talked to my mother about it. My mother was like, you know what, it's not worth it to report her because, I was planning on reporting her at the end of that summer. Excuse me, sorry. I was going to report her at the end of that summer, and I never did it. Just for the simple fact that my mom was like, well, if you report her, it could affect another GA position that you're trying to get, because you never know people, and at this point, you just need to graduate. I was like, all right, cool. So therefore, I didn't report her. I still haven't reported her to this day because at this point, it's not worth it. I feel like God sees what's going on, and God is going to get on her case when he sees fit. So for right now, I'm going to just keep living my life. And, I think one of the biggest lessons I definitely learned from this is just to make sure that whenever I'm in a leadership position, that I don't treat people the way I was treated. So just for all my leaders out there, make sure you treat the people that are under you right. Make sure you're upfront, honest with them. Make sure that if you're going to let them go, at least not only be respectful about it, but give them a proper farewell and assist them with locating something else that may be better to fit their skills. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. Again, this is Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesdays, here to motivate you, encourage you, and inspire you to be a better you. Like I said, I just solicit your prayers. I'm going to be getting tested in about 3 hours. Hopefully it's not COVID. But if it is, I guess I'll be quarantined until I get better. Much love, y'all. Talk to you soon.